Welcome to the TechHub.training Excel Cowabunga Surf Audit Challenge solution. Let's jump right in. I have the data pulled up here, and as you can see on this first sheet, I added a couple more columns that will come in handy later. We'll talk about that later. But on the Cowabunga sheet, I've also included the 4 additional tags that we're going to need for our analysis, and the solution should look the same. We might change this up a little bit at the end, but let's get started. So on the Cowabunga sheet, what I first did, I just separated these so you could see that I added the 4, but let's go ahead and delete this row. I'm gonna sort this data by inventory number. So if I come over here to sort and filter, custom sort. Okay, and if they have the same inventory number, let's then organize it by tag. There we have it. So we have all the product related to inventory number 40 and 41, 42, and so on, along with their associated plants with the new tags inserted. So here's all the data. What I'm going to do now is use the subtotal tool, which I find pretty nifty. There's a couple ways to do this to create totals of all the different inventory types, but I found this to be the easiest. In the data tab, you come over to subtotal. You can create your custom subtotal. We're going to say each change in inventory number, sum the quantity, and let's see what this does. Awesome. So now you can see Excel has inserted a row on every single unique inventory item number with the associated total related to all of the plant counts. So if I click on number 2, I can actually summarize this data nice and easily, and we can see all the total product quantities for each individual product right here. It's pretty nifty. Now what I want to do is compare this column C to this count that we made, and that's why I've added this column D, Cowabunga. So I'm actually going to do an X lookup, looking up this value in this table, and returning this value. And so what we're going to need to do is say X lookup. I want to look up this, concatenate that with space and total, which is the value of the cell we're looking up. Look up array, come to our other sheet, drag down, and I'm going to make this sticky by clicking on F4. So that when we drag the formula down, it'll still reference this table, this stationary table. Okay, return array is going to be this. Again, make that sticky, hitting F4. And let's see what that brings us. Awesome, let's just do a double check after we bring this down on a couple of these. So item number 40 is 31, 41 is 12, 42, 31, 31, 12, 31. It looks like it's working. Now what we want to do is identify some differences, because there are differences. That's the purpose of this challenge. And so if we come down here, you see 31 is the same, 12 is the same, 31. Right here, this one. So our count says 20, while Cowabunga's count says 22. So we want to make a note of this. I created 2 columns, over and under, to show how much our inventory count was over and how much it was under Cowabunga's count. So we're going to create a series of if statements to return the value of the misstatement. I'm going to say if D is equal to C, then the value is just going to be 0. Meaning if these 2 values are equal, then there's no overstatement, no understatement, the value will be 0. However, if not, we're going to do another if statement and say if Cowabunga is less than our audit count, there will be no overstatement. So again, the value will be 0. However, if false, that means Cowabunga is greater than our audit count. Our value is going to be the difference between Cowabunga and audit count. Well, I must have missed a parenthesis, so we'll just accept that. Drag that down. Let's see if this works. So Remember, there's a difference in row 5. However, this is an overstatement, and so it's overstated by 2. Perfect. Again, overstated by 10 here, overstated by 2, and it checks out. Now we're going to write a formula for the understatement column, and this is going to look fairly similar to the formula in the overstatement column. Start off by saying if D2 is equal to C2, there will be 0 understatement. However, if D2 is greater than C2, remember this is an overstatement, so again the value will be 0, else D2 is less than C2. The value is going to be the difference between C2 and D2. Close my parentheses and drag that down. Looks good. Just going over this data, it doesn't look like there are any understatements that we can see right now, but if you notice, there is an NA down here where the formula didn't quite work. It says the value is not available to the formula or function. Why is that? Let's check out this product, 1457. If we come down here, we notice that 1457 actually isn't on the Cowabunga count. They must have overlooked it or missed it on their audit count, and so we know that this value is 0. Now that we fixed that, we see that we're understated by 17, and what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to grab a running total. Same thing over here. Looks like we have an overstatement of 14 units of inventory and an understatement of 17, which leaves us with a net understatement of 3 surfboards. Now, for the sake of this example, we decided to make all surfboards the same price, and so this is going to be fairly simple going forward. Well, let's jump over to the Solution tab and figure out how to make this adjusting entry. We know that the number of surfboards misstated was 3, which means that the revenue misstatement is equal to the selling price times the quantity. To find the inventory misstatement, we need to know how much the cost of the surfboard was to Cowabunga. And so I'm just going to drag this cell over, but instead of a percentage, I want to make this a dollar amount. And this is going to be equal to 40% of the sales price. So 0.4 times the sales price. I think it's a percentage, but we're just going to change this to a number. And there we have it. Cost of each surfboard to Cowabunga is $72. And so our inventory misstatement is going to be the 72 times the number of surfboards misstated, 216. So because we know that inventory is understated by 3, we know that sales are overstated by 3 surfboards. So in order to make this adjusting entry, we're going to debit inventory and credit cost of goods sold, debit sales revenue, and credit accounts receivable. This is because in the problem, we are assuming that every misstatement in inventory is a misstatement in sales. And so the company must have recorded too many sales, and so we're just going to make these adjusting entries by increasing inventory and decreasing sales. So this cell is just going to be the value of the inventory misstatement with its respective COGS entry. Sales revenue is going to be equal to G7. And there you have it. There are adjusting entries in the solution to this challenge. We hope you enjoyed creating this and practicing your skills using Excel. Surf's up.